and he's one of the finest judges I've ever served with. And I'm going to introduce him because he is your next speaker, Pat Murphy.
As Judge Murphy comes up, if anybody wants to sit down, there's some seats up here. There's some in the corner. So if you want to sit, please feel free to do so.
Thank you, Phil. May it please this honorable court, all of the distinguished individuals that we've been introduced to, and my many, many friends. Thank you, Judge Gilbert, for those very, very kind remarks. And I don't know who the persons are that invited me, but thank you so much. I'm just so happy to be here and see so many people that I know. When I look around the room, I have tried cases against, with, and in front of many of the people in this room. I've had a long career in the law. I've loved every bit of it. I'm still doing that. And to show you just the expanse of this long career and how fortunate I've been, yes, Judge Gilbert and I were co-counsel on a commercial case in Jackson County in front of maybe the meanest judge that ever lived. And he was smarter than a whip, one of the most skilled trial lawyers you would ever want to confront. And I was not raised by a state senator, so I will tell you, Bill F. Green, and Bill got so mad at the other lawyer, that's exactly what he did. And the next time I had a case in front of Bill, he got so mad at the lawyers, he spit his false teeth out. And Bill and I became fast friends over the years. He was a very talented man, but he preferred being a trial lawyer than a judge. But it's also good to be here with the chief judge of our Southern District of Illinois, Nancy Rosenstengel, who you will meet shortly. When I first met Nancy Rosenstengel, she was very pregnant with her first child, applying for a job in my court. And I prefer to think that I made many good decisions that ought to offset some of the terrible decisions that I made, but I don't think I ever made a better decision than bringing Judge Nancy Rosenstengel on board. And she now has that child who is a second-year law student in New York at Columbia. So you make some good friends along the way. I look out here, Judge Goffinet is here, who's one of our judges who I tried a lawsuit against once and he beat me. I see Michelle Schaefer here, who I've tried a lawsuit against. I remember when she was just a baby lawyer. And, you know, my career was a little different. Judge Gilbert was designed by his creator to be a judge. I served as a judge as public service. I finished arguing a motion in a case at 12 noon and took my oath of office as a federal judge at 2 p.m. that afternoon. I retired as a federal judge on a Friday afternoon and tried my first lawsuit after that on a Monday morning. And I look at it, to me, it's all about public service. And one of the problems that I have with many of the successful lawyers of my time is that they never would put themselves up to serve. Now, they all had a reason. Well, they wouldn't be fair. They wouldn't be impartial. They were advocates. Of course, the truth is, most of them were bailing money, and they were not about to stop to render public service. So to all of our judges here, I respect you. I appreciate you. Oftentimes, you don't rule the way I think I would have ruled or should have ruled, but you will never hear me say a negative thing about a judge that's working and trying to do their best. I believe in public service. Just recently, I had the privilege to speak at one of our naturalization ceremonies. We had people from all over the world that were coming to this country. And Judge Rosenstengel had them stand up, and Judge Beatty had them stand up and tell their story. And it is always so humbling when you hear how people want to come to this country and to participate. We had a young woman who was from the Ukraine, and she was recognized, and she started crying. She was telling us how much she appreciated this country and the rule of law, where people were protected and could be safe, and they weren't just murdered without any hope at all of ever receiving any justice. And folks, that's what this country is about. And Judge Rosenstengel has heard me say many, many times that, juries, you don't know what your country's going to ask of you or what's going to be required of you. And, jury duty is an interruption, but my God, you don't have to give up your life or your limbs in the service of your country, which is what we ask our children to do. That's public service, right? And many people have, not many people, but people that know me, I would always tell a jury before I would charge them to keep in mind that men and women have died with their face in the mud so we could have this country the way that we have it. And the rule of law is central to that. It's necessary. Without that, we have nothing. We have to agree on that. We have to have honest judges that will work hard and make the right decisions and not worry about what somebody thinks. And for God's sakes, not worry about if you're going to get reelected. I mean, if that's your problem, then you don't need to have that position. And the last thing I want to tell you is this. Look, you don't know what your country's going to ask for you or your children. It may be a lot. Sometimes, not very often, but sometimes, in the inimitable words of President Lincoln, you have to give the last full measure of devotion. And that's awful. But as we go about our business, just keep this in mind. It's a horrible thing to have to give up everything for the service of your country. But it's a much worse thing to not have anything that you believe in enough to do so. God bless all of you.